everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Part 1. The hook and mysterious opening. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, the only sound the frantic chirping of unseen insects. Moonlight, fractured by the dense canopy, painted shifting shadows on the forest floor. Lord Minamoto no Yorimitsu, a warrior whose name echoed with courage, held his breath, sword gripped tight. His men, seasoned samurai, moved like specters, their eyes wide with a fear no human enemy could inspire. A rustle in the undergrowth, impossibly large, impossibly swift. Then, a sudden, horrifying revelation. A web, shimmering with a strange, unnatural phosphorescence, stretched between ancient trees, strong enough to snare a horse, and something vast, multi-legged, and utterly monstrous scuttled within its depths. A guttural shriek tore through the silence, not from any beast they knew, but from something far older, far more terrifying. This was no ordinary spider. This was the Tsuchigumo. What if the most terrifying monsters of Japanese folklore weren't just the fevered dreams of ancient storytellers, but a primal memory, a chilling echo of something truly immense that once lurked in the shadowed valleys of Japan? Tonight, we plunge into the heart of a legend, a creature whispered about for centuries. The Tsuchigumo, the earth spider. Was it a metaphor, a mythical beast born of fear and superstition, or something far more tangible, a colossal arachnid that stalked the Japanese islands, a living nightmare that inspired tales of warriors battling monstrous, web-spinning giants? Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about folklore and cryptozoology, because the story of the Tsuchigumo is woven with threads of historical accounts, chilling eyewitness testimony, and biological mysteries that continue to haunt us today. We'll explore shocking revelations that connect these ancient horrors to modern-day unexplained phenomena. And by the end, you might just find yourself scanning the shadows of your own surroundings a little more closely. Could Japan's giant spider Yōkai have been, in a terrifying way, real? Get ready, because the truth, much like a spider's web, is far more intricate and unsettling than you can imagine. Part 2. Setting the stage. Imagine, if you will, the deep, ancient forests of Japan. Mist clings to towering cedar trees, their roots snaking across the moss-covered earth like gnarled fingers. Silence is profound, broken only by the whisper of the wind through the pines, the distant call of a deer, or perhaps the unsettling snap of a twig that wasn't stepped on by any creature you recognize. For centuries, these forests have been a canvas for humanity's deepest fears and most vivid imaginations, birthing a pantheon of Yōkai, supernatural beings, spirits, and monsters that populate Japanese folklore. From the mischievous kitsune to the terrifying oni, these creatures are more than just stories. They are ingrained in the very soul of the land, cautionary tales, explanations for the unexplainable, and sometimes a chilling reflection of something truly monstrous that once existed. But among these myriad beings, few strike such a primal chord of dread as the Tsuchigumo. The name itself is steeped in mystery, often translated as earth spider or ground spider. It conjures an image of something vast, grotesque, and intimately connected to the very earth beneath our feet. Unlike the elegant, often humanoid Yōkai, the Tsuchigumo is a creature of pure, unadulterated biological horror. Its legend is not just a tale of a giant spider. It's a narrative deeply intertwined with Japan's history, its early inhabitants, and the psychological landscape of a people navigating a wild, untamed world. The first whispers of the Tsuchigumo don't just appear in children's stories. They emerge from the chronicles of ancient Japan, from texts like the asterisk Kojiki and the Nihon Shoki asterisk, foundational works that detail the mythological origins and early history of the Japanese islands. Here, however, the Tsuchigumo are not always described as monstrous spiders in the classic sense. Instead, the term was often used by the Yamato court to refer to indigenous tribes who resisted imperial rule, tribes perceived as wild, uncivilized, and living in subterranean dwellings or remote mountain regions. They were labeled earth spiders, a derogatory term meant to dehumanize them, to paint them as dangerous, lurking, and nonconformist. This historical context is crucial because it shows how the fear of the unknown, of the other, can morph and intertwine with genuine, visceral fear of the natural world. But here's where it gets interesting. While the term could be a metaphor, the descriptions of these earth spiders in later accounts become increasingly literal, detailing multi-legged creatures of immense size, spinning venomous webs, and possessing malevolent intelligence. This gradual transformation from a pejorative term for rebellious tribes to a full-blown monstrous spider Yōkai is a fascinating journey. It suggests a confluence of two powerful forces, the political and the primal. Did the labels stick because there was asterisk already an underlying fear, an ancient memory of something truly terrifying, a colossal arachnid lurking in the shadows, that made the metaphor all too resonant? Or did the stories of these earth spider people, dwelling in caves and hidden places, merge with a deep-seated human fear of spiders, amplifying it to monstrous proportions? We're not just looking at a simple creature legend here. We're delving into the very psyche of a nation, exploring how historical subjugation, geographical isolation, and the terrifying realities of nature can weave together into a tapestry of myth that feels undeniably real. So, as we embark on this investigation, keep one question at the forefront of your mind. When did the metaphor end and the monster begin? Or perhaps were they always one and the same? Part 3. A deep investigation asterisk now. Let's peel back the layers of myth and history and delve into the accounts that truly begin to define the Tsuchigumo as a physical, horrifying entity. The earliest narratives describing the Tsuchigumo as a monstrous, spider-like creature often involve legendary warriors, figures whose names resonate with bravery and triumph over impossible odds. One of the most prominent is that of Minamoto no Yorimitsu, a historical figure from the Heian period, renowned for his military prowess and for subjugating various Yōkai, including the formidable Shutendoji. His encounter with the Tsuchigumo is perhaps the most famous and chilling. The tale begins with Yorimitsu, gravely ill, languishing in his bed. He is weakened, vulnerable. One night, a shadowy, grotesque monk appears in his chamber, attempting to bind him with thick, sticky threads. But even in his weakened state, Yorimitsu is a warrior. He manages to draw his sword, the famed Hizamaru, and strikes a blow. The shadowy figure recoils, bleeding a trail of dark, viscous fluid as it flees. Yorimitsu's men, following the gory track, are led deep into the mountains, to a vast, ancient lair. Imagine the scene: the narrow, twisting path, the suffocating silence, the growing dread with every step. The trail leads them to a colossal cave, its entrance shrouded in an impossibly thick, glistening web. As they cautiously peer inside, they are met with a sight that would turn the bravest warrior's stomach. A truly gigantic spider-like creature, its body bloated and bulbous, its eyes burning with malevolence, surrounded by a macabre collection of human skulls. This, they realized, was the Tsuchigumo. A fierce battle ensues, a desperate struggle against a creature of immense strength and terrifying cunning, capable of spewing venom and entangling its prey in its powerful silk. Yorimitsu's men, through sheer determination and martial skill, eventually overcome the beast, severing its head and finding, within its massive abdomen, nearly 2,000 smaller spiders all ready to hatch. The horror. Wait, there's more to this. Yorimitsu's sword, the Hizamaru, was renamed Kumakiramaru the Spider Cutter. This isn't just a story, it's an origin for a legendary weapon, suggesting the encounter was so significant, so impactful, that it forged not just a legend, but a tangible piece of history. How many battles against a metaphorical tribe would lead to a sword being renamed Spider Cutter? This detail strongly suggests a physical encounter. Another fascinating account surfaces in the asterisk Teihiki asterisk, a 14th century Japanese historical epic. This text recounts an episode where a group of warriors, led by Fujiwara no Hidesato, track a monster through the mountains. They discover a gigantic spider, described as having a demon-like face and the ability to conjure illusions and manipulate the environment. It lures travelers into its lair, binding them with silk, before devouring them. The warriors eventually defeat it, but the description of its immense size and predatory behavior is strikingly consistent with the Tsuchigumo of Yorimitsu's legend. Now, let's consider the scientific possibilities. Could a spider of such colossal size genuinely exist, or have existed, in Japan? While modern entomology doesn't recognize any spider species of that magnitude in Japan, the natural world is full of surprises. Consider the Japanese island's unique biodiversity. Isolation can lead to gigantism in certain species, a phenomenon known as island gigantism. Think of the Komodo dragon, a giant lizard found only on a few Indonesian islands. Could a similar evolutionary path have been taken by an ancient arachnid in Japan? The deep, unexplored caves and dense, ancient forests could have provided perfect habitats for such a creature to thrive, hidden from human eyes for millennia. Furthermore, spider silk is one of the strongest natural materials on Earth, pound for pound stronger than steel. A Tsuchigumo, spinning webs capable of ensnaring humans or even horses, isn't a stretch of biological possibility if the creature itself were large enough. And the venom, many spiders possess potent venoms. A truly colossal spider would likely possess a venom equally potent, if not more so, to subdue large prey. We're not talking about your average garden spider here. We're talking about a creature that would be at the absolute apex of its food chain, a nocturnal hunter of immense power. Could these historical accounts be collective memories of an extinct megarachnid? What if, before extensive human settlement, there were pockets of these creatures, rare but terrifying, that eventually died out due to habitat loss or overhunting by increasingly sophisticated humans? Stories would live on, passed down through generations, their details embellished over time, but always rooted in that initial, horrifying truth. The consistency of the description's giant size, web-spinning, malevolent intelligence across different historical periods and different regions of Japan is a powerful piece of evidence suggesting a common, foundational experience. It's not just one isolated tale, it's a recurring nightmare woven into the fabric of a nation. But if this creature was real, what finally became of it? And could it, against all odds, still be out there? Part 4. Turning point, the narratives we've explored so far paint a vivid picture of a monstrous arachnid, a creature of nightmare proportions. But the real turning point in our investigation, the moment where the line between myth and potential reality truly blurs, comes with a deeper look at the cultural memory surrounding the Tsuchigumo. It's not just about ancient scrolls or warrior legends. It's about how deeply ingrained the fear of this specific creature became, transcending mere superstition. Consider the persistent depiction of the Tsuchigumo in various forms of Japanese art and literature throughout the centuries. From elaborately painted scrolls known as *imakimono* to classical kabuki and no plays, the image of the giant spider Yōkai, often with a humanoid upper body or a terrifying demonic face, but always with its signature multi-legged, web-spinning horror, is a recurring motif. These aren't just whimsical drawings. They are often detailed and specific, depicting not just the creature, but its environment, its methods of attack, and the visceral fear it inspires. The consistency of these artistic representations over hundreds of years suggests a very strong archetype, one that resonates deeply within the collective unconscious, perhaps because it's rooted in something genuinely terrifying. When a society repeatedly and consistently portrays a specific monster across diverse artistic mediums, it points to a fear that is either profoundly universal or profoundly historical. But here's the most compelling aspect. The physical evidence, or rather the lack thereof, can be its own form of evidence when dealing with creatures of legend. If the Tsuchigumo was a physical creature, even if rare, why are there no fossil records, no bones, no definitive proof? This is where we need to challenge our assumptions. The Japanese archipelago is highly volcanic and prone to earthquakes. Geological activity is constant. Environments are lush, humid, and conducive to rapid decomposition. The chances of a large, soft-bodied creature like a spider, even a giant one, leaving behind fossilized remains are incredibly slim. Even large mammals rarely leave perfect fossils. For an arthropod, it would be almost unheard of, especially in the active geological setting of Japan. Its existence would leave little to no trace, making its elusiveness perfectly understandable from a scientific standpoint. Now imagine this. Japan historically was not as densely populated as it is today. Vast tracts of land were wild, unexplored, and inhospitable. Consider the mountainous regions, the deep, primeval forests, and the extensive cave systems that still exist, many of which remain largely unmapped and unexplored. These are perfect havens for relict populations of large, cryptic creatures. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that a species of massive arachnid could have thrived in such environments, encountering humans rarely, but leaving an indelible mark on their psyche when it did. Wait for it moment here is the realization that the very nature of Japan's geography and geology could be the reason for the creature's mythic status rather than its total absence. The environment itself could be the ultimate concealer. And what if the Tsuchigumo isn't a single species, but a catch-all term for several different types of large, terrifying arachnids or even other multi-legged creatures that shared similar predatory behaviors? The early historical accounts, remember, sometimes used Tsuchigumo for indigenous tribes. But what if those tribes, living close to the land, had their own encounters with monstrous spiders and passed those stories along, merging with the imperial court's metaphorical usage? This creates a feedback loop, where the label for a group of people and the fear of a real creature amplify each other, solidifying the legend. The turning point is the realization that the Tsuchigumo might be a multifaceted mystery, part sociopolitical metaphor, part genuine biological horror. This challenges the simple binary of real or fake and pushes us towards a more nuanced and ultimately more terrifying possibility. The lingering doubt, the tantalizing, but what if, is precisely what keeps the legend alive. Could this ancient terror still be waiting, hidden in the most remote corners of the rising sun? Part 5. Modern mysteries and ongoing search *. So, if the Tsuchigumo truly walked, or rather scuttled, through ancient Japan, what of today? Has this colossal arachnid vanished entirely into the mists of time and folklore? Or are there whispers, anomalies, and unexplained phenomena that suggest the legend might not be entirely confined to the history books? The search for the Tsuchigumo hasn't stopped with the advent of the modern era. It has simply evolved, shifting from warrior narratives to cryptozoological investigations. While definitive, verifiable sightings of house-sized spiders are, understandably, non-existent in modern Japan, there are persistent, albeit anecdotal, accounts of unusually large, aggressive spiders and unexplained phenomena in remote areas. Consider the countless reports of exceptionally large webs found in secluded forests or cave entrances, webs far too robust and expansive for any known Japanese spider species. These reports, often dismissed as exaggerations, become far more chilling when viewed through the lens of Tsuchigumo lore. Who or what is spinning these colossal traps? Furthermore, there are periodic reports from hikers, cavers, and even professional naturalists exploring Japan's vast, largely uncharted wilderness, of encountering unusually large, unidentified arachnids or feeling an inexplicable sense of dread in certain deep forest clearings or cave systems. These aren't necessarily full-blown Tsuchigumo sightings, but they are pattern interrupts to our established understanding of Japanese arachnid fauna. They are the small, unsettling pieces of a puzzle that just don't quite fit. What if these are glimpses, however fleeting, of a creature that has become incredibly rare and reclusive, driven deeper into the Earth's hidden places by human encroachment? One fascinating modern development comes from the field of entomology itself. While no giant spiders have been discovered, the biodiversity of Japanese arthropods is still being thoroughly mapped. New species are continually being identified, particularly in the deep sea and in unexplored cave systems. Could a relict population of a previously unknown, immense arachnid species be patiently waiting to be discovered? It's a tantalizing thought that, given the right conditions, a creature thought to be myth could resurface. Think of the coelacanth, a fish thought to be extinct for millions of years, only to be rediscovered in the 20th century. The natural world has a habit of surprising us. There have also been recent expeditions by independent cryptozoology teams and even some brave YouTubers, venturing into the most remote and historically significant regions associated with Tsuchigumo legends. While no one has yet captured a live specimen or obtained irrefutable photographic evidence, these expeditions often report strange atmospheric anomalies, unexplained sounds, and a palpable sense of being watched. They find evidence of large, disturbed areas in forests, patterns of broken branches that suggest something immensely powerful has moved through, and even peculiar, sticky residues that defy conventional explanation. These are not proof, but they fuel the fire of curiosity, hinting that there might still be something unusual, something other asterisk, lurking in those ancient shadows. The search continues, driven by the enduring power of the legend and the unshakable feeling that some mysteries are just waiting for the right moment, and the right intrepid explorer to be unveiled. The question isn't just asterisk if the Tsuchigumo was real, but asterisk could it still be? Part 6. The compelling conclusion. We began this journey deep in the moonlit Japanese forest, with Lord Minamoto no Yorimitsu facing down an impossible horror. We've traversed centuries of legend, historical chronicles, artistic depictions, and scientific possibilities. We've seen how the term Tsuchigumo evolved from a derogatory label for indigenous tribes to the terrifying moniker of a colossal, web-spinning beast. And through it all, one question has echoed. Was Japan's giant spider Yōkai real? The truth, as often happens with the most compelling legends, is likely far more complex than a simple yes or no. It's a tapestry woven with threads of genuine fear, cultural memory, historical events, and perhaps the lingering echo of a truly monstrous biological entity. The accounts of warriors like Yorimitsu and Hidesato, fighting against enormous, venomous spiders, are too vivid, too consistent in their horrifying details to be entirely dismissed as pure fantasy. Renaming of a legendary sword to Spider Cutter is a powerful symbolic act, rooted in an encounter that clearly transcended the metaphorical. Could a relict species of immense arachnid have once roamed the ancient, wild landscapes of Japan, eventually retreating into deeper, more inaccessible territories as human civilization expanded? The geological and biological context of Japan certainly doesn't rule out the possibility of a large, elusive creature existing in its vast, unexplored wilderness. The lack of modern, definitive evidence doesn't necessarily mean absence. It could simply mean extreme rarity and elusiveness in a world that is still full of biological wonders waiting to be discovered. The Tsuchigumo, whether a forgotten megaspider, an exaggerated memory of something biologically terrifying,